Oh, we've gone now.
Right, we're live now. Right. Hello to everybody in the chat room. Welcome this evening on this lovely Friday party at Kip's house. And I'd just like to welcome guests on tonight. So Kip obviously is hosting. Captain Kip is taking a back seat tonight. He's handed the baton over to his midshipman. What? Am I a midshipman? I don't know. But right, we're live now. Right. Hello to everybody in the chat room. Oh my God, I can hear my voice. Lovely Friday party. And whose car can hear? Welcome guests on tonight. So Kip obviously. I'm really confused because I can hear myself. Somebody mute up in the back seat tonight. He's handed the baton over to. And it's coming through. The midshipman. What? Or I'm going to stop talking in a minute. That's it. Right, that's better. Right, where was we? Now I'm totally lost. Yeah, I just would like to welcome Kip, Dean, Cookie, Kendo, and myself, or Tazzy, or Taz, whatever. I'd like to say hello to everybody in the chat room. We've had quite a few comments today, but now we've got 10 watching. Earlier on we only had 2. So I'd like to welcome and thanks for commenting Michael M. Callister, Adrian Whiteley, Dean, James Owen, Tony B, Peter popped in earlier on and he said he'll be back, Kendo, Gary Maskell, Basil Vic Matt, Muslim as Kit's missus, we think. Cookie's commented, we've got Blazing Stars, the Stevie B show, William Scotsman, Liza J. Williams, hello, welcome Liza, Agent 57 and Society of the Spectacle. So I'd just like to welcome everybody and say hello and welcome. We've now got the count clock, it's 10:15, so over to you, back to you boys, and we're going to talk about Kendo. So say hello to everybody. You do yours.
Good evening, folks. Yeah, I've been going down a peculiar route this week, trying to help people out with some really heavy-duty council tax problems, and I got a fair amount of help here, there, and everywhere. I'm not going to go into details, but it did end up leading me to one direction where I watched a video about the People's Mandate with Rob Freeman, and it's a lecture from We the People Fight Back at the conference from this year at the We Are Change Manchester. And all I wanted to say is that I think it's worth a look, because we had a program last weekend about being the solution, and I seriously believe that this guy's thought about being the solution, but it's very good what he's talking about. We all act individually but also as a collective, which is collectivism in a different form. And it's worth reading the preamble to the mandate. He's trying to put, well, he states in it that the way he writes it is the way it should be read, and nothing should be seen into it. It's not legalese, it's not common law, it's just English, the words of the ordinary people. And the mandate basically, when he's got enough signatures, what he's going to do is, if there are certain corporations out there, local authorities, this, that and the other, if the people deem it that these corporations, local authorities whatsoever, are not acting in the people's, not acting, let's change that, not in the people's way, but in the way that they were given their job, i.e., if you're a public servant, then it's your duty to serve the public. And if you've been found out that you're serving yourself, then you could come under the people's mandate. And if you're the head of a council or the head of a corporation, and it's found that you're not doing things that are, for instance, the corporations that are trying to frack the ass off us, they're not doing that in the interests of us. They're doing it in the interests of themselves and how much money they can get out of it, and for another agenda which many people speculate about. So the mandate is basically, if you once read the preamble, the mandate is when he's got enough signatures, these corporations, local authorities, etc., we present them with the mandate, and basically what the mandate is, they get 90 days, and I'll tell you why. You get 90 days to prove financially that your books are the way they should be, and every penny is accounted for right down to the last one. And also, as a company, you have to prove that you're not serving yourself and you're doing your job. If it's a service company, then you've got to prove that you're providing a service and not providing a service where you're basically extorting people out of huge amounts of money, like the way things are at the moment. So they get 90 days to prove that their books are clean and that they're doing all the right things by the way it should be done. And if they can't do that in 90 days, then the mandate is served. And I would imagine there's not going to be many local authorities that will be able to come up to scratch, because we know my local council haven't done their books for 23 years, and they keep telling all the local people in Nottingham that there's no need to do their books. Well, why? So anyway, it's worth a good. It's an hour and 41 minutes. It's a well good lecture to listen to, and the way the guys put it together is really, really. Rob Freeman has really put his mind to it, and I just thought it was worth mentioning. I shared it in the early hours this morning, and I shared it on Google Plus. So if you want to look for it, it's there. And I think Tazzy's also put the link in the chat box. So go and have a look, see what you think. It is a solution, and by God, do we need solutions right now? And it's been very well thought about and very well put together. So there you go. That's my little bit.
Right, thanks for that, Kendo. It's very much appreciated. Tony B's written a comment already saying Kendo knows his stuff. He's right, these politicians help themselves, not us, the people. Yeah. Cookie or Dean, what do you have to say about this?
I want to say thank you, Taz, for jumping in, because there seems some people have a mandate on the Friday night of consuming alcohol and getting a bit tipsy, so they don't know what buttons to press. So I think we should mandate some Friday night. Yes, but yeah,
technical issues. Yes, mandate on the technical equipment.
I don't even know if Dean's there still, or whether they've both crashed out. Have you both crashed out there?
He's saluting.
The ship's sinking, Captain.
You can't take it.
We need more power. We need more power.
You're supposed to use.
Are all short.
You're supposed to use the biofuel in your generator, not drink it.
Oh, dear. Hilarious. But, I don't know what's going on in the chat box. Fady Poo, Rob Freeman. Rob Freeman is the bollocks, top fella. There you go. James Owens watched the vid. So perhaps
sorry, I didn't.
Perhaps they too can, contribute something into the chat box that gives everybody the confidence to go and have a look at it.
Yeah.
But I've signed it anyway. I've signed up. I've been onto the website and I've signed up. So I'm on the people's mandate, and anyone Any company that gets served with a mandate, if you've signed it, will be notified, because you will be notified and given a copy of the mandate and who it's gone to, so that we know exactly what's going on. That's the other thing. It's quite an interactive thing. So
Hey, Cookie Monster, me and Dean are sitting here, Dino, are sitting listening to this in the background. What is it you're saying in the background?
What was that? In the background?
Santa Chuckles, what were you saying in the background there, Santa Chuckles?
So it's something in the background. Ah!
Artfully. Artfully that.
Oh, no.
What?
Hasn't gone quiet.
What?
What have you been up to, Cookie, anyway, mate? Good or?
Me? No, just craziness.
I've had a good walk around the Glasgow Transport Museum this evening. And it was, I've got some good pictures. I'll put them up on line tomorrow.
Cool.
But I've got a perfect vehicle for you. Absolutely perfect vehicle for you. Honestly. And it's going to look good.
Is it a penny farthing?
No, there was, right, a penny farthing to you. So what? It's one wheel with the little one at the back, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not named that up here.
No idea.
Museum. I can't remember the name of it now, but they've got a museum up here, and it isn't named. I just cannot remember the wording at all that was on the sticker. But good museum. I enjoyed it. It was like shitloads of old cars and all that, like Hillman Imps right down to the first Fords and all that. Well, there's none of them in my pictures. None of them whatsoever. Steam engines. So all steam engines and steam turbines and things like that that's in my pictures.
Now I can see the camera started working. I must be lag at my end. Half the time the pictures aren't showing up. Well, the video isn't showing up. I'm just getting the pictures.
Right.
I've seen you with your G-string.
No, I don't think it showed up properly. I was trying to do screen share. Screen share? Yeah, screen share. But it didn't work.
Hey,
Was there not enough pixels?
Cocky, with
No.
these models, these boats, that's like Second World War battleships and that. They're like probably about 100th of the size. So like 10 foot long, 4 or 5 foot high. Proper nice models that go around in this glass cabinet. The work they must have put into them boats were, honestly, you'd enjoy walking around there, I think, you Cookie.
Yeah, I know the kind of museum you mean. It's similar in Birmingham. Well, it's Black Country Museum as well. So.
Yeah. See, I like them as well, the Black Country Museum, I like that.
But you don't get iron brown, those ones.
That's similar to...
Cup of brown joy.
Yeah, mining museums down there as well, don't we? Birmingham. You got mining and steel, wasn't it, down there?
Yeah. So, what are you guys doing tomorrow? Do you think you're going to be up early enough?
Definitely. I was up early this morning. I was up at... I know James, sorry, I'm reading comments as well. James, Glasgow Transport Museum, yeah, you did actually say go there, didn't you? Yeah, that's where we went today, wasn't it, Kit? Glasgow Transport Museum.
Aye.
Yeah. And yeah, you were right, James, I did enjoy it. But took a couple of good photographs. There's not enough room really in there to take good pictures because you can't back off far enough. You try and back off, you have to stand on one of the pieces that they're showing, and I don't think they'd appreciate it.
It's a bad thing to say about a museum. It's better going there without kids.
Well, I don't know. I enjoyed it. Kids do it.
No. I
enjoy talking to them and telling them what it is and that. You know what I mean?
No, I'm talking about the time we didn't have enough time, right enough, man.
Yeah, we did a couple of hours in it, so I think it was alright. I seen what I really wanted to see anyway, which was steam and that. You know what I mean? And the ships were a bonus.
Nah.
It was really nice.
Do you find any interesting symbolism or anything like that?
Well, yeah, you see it
it costs money.
See it all.
Costs money to look at some models.
I noticed the pattern there, Cookie. Every step of the way, man, there was some sort of a bullcrap trying to part you with your penny. Here, do this. You run for this. Jump for this up here. You need this bit of plastic.
No, it's all free up here, Cookie, the museums. You don't pay to go in them up here. It's part of the Scottish heritage.
The gateway's in. The nagging up the kids, only, but.
And they're always. I would have been two up here now, and.
That's not completely untrue, man. The museums up here are great, actually. Must be a lot.
Yeah, they're good.
Your city's got some amazing buildings. I noticed that when I've looked through the pictures and the videos that you've put out on YouTube. Actually, amazing city. Those those videos that you took that were on top. It looked like your mini Acropolis up there. You had a really good view right across the city.
Well, tomorrow, honestly, I'll be surprised, to be honest, right? Number one, I'll be very surprised if we got a bit more do it, get live up there because it's
yeah.
That's Dean Scott. He's been up here. He's been up here a few days and already. What is it? What's happening outside you?
It's Pishenden.
Pishenden.
It's drawn on Scott's blood, isn't it?
I don't even know what he's saying. It's wet.
So what time and where tomorrow is your meet up?
What's that? Sorry.
Dinner time.
Tomorrow is your meet up and where?
The base plan was tomorrow at 12 o'clock.
Tomorrow at 12 o'clock.
High noon.
12 o'clock at the.
At where?
It's front of the what's it, mate?
In front of the what is it? Cathedral.
Glasgow
Cathedral.
In front of Glasgow Cathedral. Right. Okay. I was just thought I couldn't hear what you were saying, but I got it. Yeah. 12 o'clock tomorrow in front of Glasgow Cathedral.
There you go.
Everyone's going armed with cameras and videos, I'm assuming. Well, it should be good. Well, we look forward to the footage after.
Good.
Don't forget your camping chairs and your walking stick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you got your crayon and your piece of paper to do your brass rubbings?
Or the graveyard. Go back onto the graveyard. So put Daisy's shop.
Right. I'm struggling to hear what you're saying, Dean. Sorry.
Does it microphone?
Whose microphone are you going through? Yours or Kip's?
Can only go through
both.
one. Can only go through Kip's, otherwise we'll get
I'll try and,
Yeah, you'll get a weird feedback.
Yeah.
Stevie B says either Dean's or Kit's need to turn their mic off as they are interfering with each other.
I don't think you got both on, have you?
Thanks, Steve.
No, not even
Dean,
got
Dean, I'll kill
only got
mine.
my camera on.
Dean, I'll kill mine's right.
Then we probably won't be able
Oh
to
no,
hear.
you've both muted up now.
What you'll have to do is turn your screen off on your.
Why? Honestly, trust me, mate, I need to do this. So turn yours on.
We'll get back feed off that.
Right, try this.
Right,
Turn
yeah.
yours on, right?
Yeah.
Turn Dean's on and turn yours off.
Have you turned yours on,
That is the feedback.
I thought we'd join the Matrix then. It was like Doctor Who effect going on.
She's like waiting for the Sex Pistols to set up on stage. Never mind the bollocks, just smash the drum kit.
Yeah. Right, so I'll take this opportunity to say hello to Feedy Foo and to Kappa Patel that's also joined us tonight. Thank you guys for turning up. I hope you enjoy the shipwreck that is our show tonight. Watch it slowly crashing against the rocks. So what else do we know? Has Ebola hit anybody's town yet?
Not at all. We all know that we tell the meaning of life after the break. It's 70, 79. Then when it reach
We're doing the meaning of life, are we?
meaning of life.
Is
Cookies,
it life or is it Memorex?
cookies got the meaning of life.
42.
That's it, 42. Yeah.
Golden ratio. In my bank balance.
I can't hear him.
If you turn it off.
My cat's looking somewhat disturbed. But
Be afraid. It's not cat's not got Ebola yet then, Cookie.
I don't think so.
No, my dog.
Come back to me, my pussy.
She's saying.
Told you, and they're going to get to those stones tomorrow, and it'll just be like watching Easy Rider.
Yeah.
They'll disappear off wandering in amongst the stones. You won't see them for like 2 days.
Then it went dark. It looks like
Tonight.
background, man. It's just went dark.
Right, so
Are they on whiskey or gin? Gin.
It's cold.
Are they on whiskey? Are they surrounded by gin?
They've got the gin in them.
I've heard about that gin. I did wonder if it was that kind of gin or not.
It's like one of Dinner's hangouts tonight, though, isn't it?
Just don't try.
We're not all completely lost. I don't know. How drunk do they get? I haven't seen one of their hangouts for a while.
No, I'm not being negative there, Dinners, in case you're watching the recording.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Honestly, somebody please feel free and masturbate some sort of a blast of, I don't know.
It's a what?
Somebody bought a rim with a blast.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was just gonna look about. I mean, we've currently got the Ebola scare that's why I was taking the piss. Being rammed down everybody's throats. So we briefly touched on it last night. And what with Cameron spouting off, calling us, you know, non-violent terrorists or non-violent extremists. I don't know what the current word in it is for people nowadays.
Ebola zombies.
Ebola zombies. Yes.
Yeah. That's what we'll be labelled as next.
Yeah, so you know, get the vaccine, and it just so happened today, as I did watch the film Contagion. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but the similarities between that and what's currently being rammed down everybody's throats is quite. It's like I believe of no mistake. It's quite deliberate. So.
It's obvious that they're using it as fear porn.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because you know, we've all been. I don't know whether we're allowed to say this, but we've all been taking the piss slightly out of beheading.
Yeah.
You know, that's been ridiculous. The issue over beheading. Don't know whether anyone's been keeping an eye on the mainstream media, but it seems over the last 2 to 3 days, and I only look at the front pages as I walk around the shop.
Yeah, that's enough, isn't it?
Yeah. All of a sudden, David Cameron is a hero.
He's a hero.
Yeah.
Really? Did we miss something? Has he been knighted again? Oh.
Well, the Daily Mail, the Sun, they're all hailing him as at last we have a Conservative Prime Minister. What? We don't have a Conservative puppet, for Christ's sake. And it's.
Does anyone else smell like a rolling freight train of propaganda across all the media?
Yeah, all of a sudden, if you this is another argument. All of a sudden, if you dissent, if you're a dissenter, it means that you don't go along with their agenda.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you don't agree with their agenda, then that automatically makes you a dissenter anyway.
Isn't it? So by default, we're all fucked. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and this is the game they're trying to play. It's obvious we're going to dissent. We're all fed up of seeing people being bombed on, fucking, you name it. It's all been on the television, and most people are getting apathetic towards it because they've seen enough. I don't want. I've had enough of wars. There's been, there's been enough people that are walking around the planet now are only here because people have survived successive wars that have been in the past. And we need to start forgetting about war. Never mind about, 11th of the 11th at 11 a.m. We need to forget 11th of the 11th at 11 a.m. for good.
Oh,
we need
yes,
to stop dropping poppies on, and this is a controversial thing, and people say these people should be remembered, and the best way we can remember them is by remembering that for every poppy somebody made a sacrifice to stop this. And if, like, I don't know, I after watching that Rob Freeman thing last night, I put a post up and I said, one small step for man, possibly a giant leap for mankind, because the only way we're going to get out of this war thing is if people stop fucking reminding us of the fact that it's the easiest thing on the planet is to pick up a rifle, point it somewhere and pull the trigger. That's the easiest thing to do. The hardest thing to do is to refuse to pick the fucker up and put a bullet in it and pull the trigger. Yeah. That is the hardest thing to do, because we've been educated and fucking subverted, mind controlled into thinking that the only way to resolve any problem that ever existed on this planet is by manufacturing a fucking rifle, putting a bullet in it and pointing it somewhere and pulling the trigger. And it's time that we dissented from that, because that is the natural thing to do. I don't want to kill anybody, and I don't want to be killed, thank you. You know, in any way, shape or form, whether it's a drone, a fucking bomb, a rocket, an atomic bomb, whatever. Because you people have had your games over, I can't think how many thousand years you've had your games, and the rest of us are pissed off with your game, and we'd like to pick the ball up and say, no more of that game, we'll find one that's less fucking aggressive. Sorry about the French, but that's just how I feel.
Yeah. But we have a very big arms export from this country, don't we?
Yeah, I mean,
you know, we need to start. I think we need to start addressing it.
Yeah, this little exercise that the RAF are doing in the Middle East right now is going to cost £12 billion. And you know where they're going to go for the £12 billion, don't you? They're going to go straight to all the corporations and say, right, it's for you. Because don't be no bones about it. The government have got an interesting share in every little fucking extortionate scam that goes on in this country. They've got a percentage share in the scam over the mortgage repossessions, and they've got a percentage share in every little company that they help to fund through their friends. But I'm thinking locally, Equita, there's like proper corporations being set up now just to evict people from their properties and give them a hard time. You know, and it's time we're like, we need to draw a line in the sand and say, fuck's sake, enough is enough. How greedy does one small minority of people have to be before they realise they're being too greedy? And when do they ever take notice of the people that they're being greedy upon? When we request that they stop being fucking greedy. All we want is a normal life, fuck's sake.
Never going to take notice, are they, James?
Well...
Well, I was just thinking, I wouldn't call Cameron a hero unless he can survive swimming through the ocean of piss when we drown them in our urine.
I'll piss to that.
Oh, get a nice big Olympic-sized swimming pool, throw him in the deep end, and you'd form an orderly queue, and let's see him, see if you can get out of that, mate.
Also this week, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but more rats are deserting the sinking ship of the Tory party, and they're all heading straight for UKIP.
Clearing the decks.
Yeah, and the Tories are trying to put a smooth spin on it, and meanwhile the UKIP are like exploiting it to its every last inch. And I noticed they got that, I can't remember his name, on the politics show today. They got that young author, what's his name, James is something, is it? I can't remember his name. Chat room will let me know. But he was on there this morning because there was 3 people on there discussing this. The other main topic that keeps coming up from all the politicians is the new constitution. The new constitution. They're all in this new constitution mode. So, you know, we're getting bombarded with bullshit and fear porn and you know, we're going to do that, because you've got to realise that the next and final part of this parliament, right up till the election now, is going to be heavy on the bullshit, heavy on the lies, heavy on the promises, and heavy on, you know, you've got to see through it and think, well, it's all a load of crap. That's why I brought up the People's Mandate, because it's something, I know, but you know, I can only wish it's a utopia dream. But fucking hell, if we all did get enough signatures and it was made known, then we don't know. It's ground that we haven't entered. But I've always, like everybody knows, I maintain at trying to think through a problem. And to me, of all the things I've tried to think of, this People's Mandate sort of it's my spot anyway. I don't see as we've got any other choice, and if we don't do anything about it, nobody's going to do it for us.
That's what I wanted to ask Cookie. The Barons, what's that bit?
What The barons?
Yeah, like the 25 barons or something like that.
Oh, the Magna Carta stuff.
Yeah, we can petition the barons to approach the Queen, is it? Something like that.
It was Kendo mentioned this a while ago that some of the you explain it, Kendo, because you know the details better than me.
Yeah, the four barons put in the parchment to the Queen through the House of Lords, and the next day they were expelled from the House of Lords. So that tells you everything, Dean.
Oh yeah, I know, but I mean, is it the? I know about that bit where they got that was in 2001,
Yeah.
where they got kicked out of the House of Lords. But it's there's something in Magna Carta about 25 barons.
That's right, Article 61. The people notify the 25 barons. One is elected to pass the parchment, but he's also accompanied by 3 others, because in the old days, if he'd have gone on his own, he'd have been struck with the sword and killed straight away. So if there's 4 of them, there's a chance that the other 3 can protect the one.
Yeah.
That's why they did it. But I think it's also happened in 2010, this move, and they tried to invoke Article 61, and every time they've done it, it's been thwarted, and it's never been mentioned in mainstream.
No,
so that's why I've mentioned the People's Mandate tonight, because it goes through one section where it talks about Magna Carta, and it talks about the difference between what the People's Mandate is all about and Magna Carta, because it basically takes that into consideration, the fact that no matter what we try, which we think is within the laws of this land, none of it works. So everything in the laws and axioms, as he calls it, basically every law, apart from natural law and God's law, is conjured in the minds of men.
Yeah.
So basically it's not really law. So he's saying that this People's Mandate is higher than the Magna Carta, and it's higher than legalese, their law, because we're in the majority basically, and we're not. What we're wanting is fairness, and I think I wrote it down. There's a quote from the Nuremberg trials, and it's in a. No, I haven't written it down. I'm sorry, folks. But basically, it's a quote that comes from the Human Rights Act of 1948, and it basically states that we have to be treated as sentient human beings rather than fucking persons or legal.
That was actually on news tonight. I caught something. I've just been trying to rack up my brains about what it were with the human rights. They're on about abolishing the Human Rights Act.
Yeah. I'll be able to make that quote in a minute, because I know where it is, and I'll just get it up. It'll take me a couple of minutes, but I'll get there.
So if they're abolishing Human Rights Act, what the fuck they saying? You know what I mean?
Well, if you check the UN's own webpage and look up the section on the human rights, it very clearly states at the end of all the sub-clauses that all of these are given privileges. So if they want to revoke them, they can. So they only count as long as they say they count. They can change them whenever they want.
It mentions that in the mandate as well, the fact that we're sick of living under privilege, then when we're all, everybody on the planet has the opportunity to behave like a normal human being. It's just that there's a minority that choose not to. So why should the minority impose their laws upon the majority when all the majority want is natural law and the law of God, which is do no harm or cause no loss? And it's obvious that every other law that's created in the mind of man is in some way doing some harm and causing loss.
Yeah.
So
it takes from the masses and gives to those few. That's what all legalese to me is just completely separate, because it is literally just a commercial circus. It serves no other purpose other than to generate revenue.
To me, what they're saying is there's no laws unless we make them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's one of their classic
basically.
ways of looking at the thing.
Well, let's cut the bullshit out, and it's just the laws are what we make them. That is it.
Yeah.
And
if you
they've
refuse-
said, in addition to that, that when they've made the laws, it's up to the judiciary to make sure that those laws are enforced or take, whatever. But they're saying that they want control of the judiciary as well as control of the lawmaking.
That's all part of the laws. It needs treaty, innit? The Lisbon Treaty.
Yeah,
All in that.
yeah. There's also a petition out there to invoke, I think it's Article 50 of the Lisbon Treaty, where if the people get up a big enough of a consensus, they can actually ask for Article 50 to be invoked, and that stops them from ratifying the treaty. But they're doing that much. They're putting that much pressure on between now and January, or the end of January, which is the time limit for Graham Allen's introduction of rewriting the new Magna Carta. So all the pressure on at the moment is basically they're trying to sort out the political camps and cram their ideology down our throats and bombard us through the lamestream media with their thoughts. And meanwhile, there's this huge bubble of action over a new constitution. So while one's talking about it, they're all wanting to talk about it, but no one's talking about the actual bits that we have got and the fact that it's those fuckers that destroyed it in the first place so they can bring about this new move. No one's talking about anybody being a traitor.
If you think back over the last several months, the majority of this year, there's been the ongoing Ebola build-up. They've sowed the seeds of that thread, that storyline. It was like watching an extended version of a Hollywood movie. And along the back of that has been this, for us here, particularly in the UK, this resurgence of interest in the Magna Carta. I don't know if you remember, Cameron gave a speech a good few months ago where he's talking about we need to look back again at the Magna Carta and remember just how great it was, but it needs to be fitted into our new modern system. So they've been sowing the seeds just subtly in the background, letting everybody know, not really letting them know, giving them just a little bit of information they need to make them go in the direction they want, that they are going to fuck about with it, rewrite it. Basically, they're corporatizing us even further. They're telling you that you don't need those old laws anymore. All you need now is the big corporate book of law.
Yeah.
And there's no two ways about it. If you go down the Farage route, whilst you'll come out of Europe, if you look at what the Farage camp are up to, there's no two ways about it. They're going to corporatize everything, but they want it for themselves rather than sharing it with Europe. That's the only difference.
Yeah, if you sort of pick through it in its ramifications, they may withdraw from Europe to a certain degree, but they're not really going to pull out of Europe because we can't anymore. We don't have the industrialized infrastructure anymore to produce enough for ourselves, which means we are forced into economic coalitions with the rest of Europe, at least, if not further afield. So we can't really withdraw. We're still going to be within it. And if we're within all that geopolitical stage, then the way that stage is operated is using those corporate laws.
Yeah, UKIP are not offering to go down the Rothschild route. UKIP aren't dismissing going down the Rothschild banking route for their money. So we're still going to be able to ransom by banks either way. It's just going to be that instead of £55 million a day going out of Britain towards the European camp, that £55 million a day is going to give them something more to play with in their own backyard.
As well, do you really think that their private corporate chums are going to move all their offshore funds back into this country so that therefore you're getting the true economic benefit of your supposedly returning economic infrastructure? Of course they're not. So you're going to have this delusion.
Lord Ashcroft has gifted the UKIP party with £1 million. So if Lord Ashcroft has given them £1 million, I'm sure it's Lord Ashcroft, then the Tory party are looking at losing one of their most important backers. And if it's not Lord Ashcroft, it's somebody who's not a couple of bob behind him. And I thought it was Lord Ashcroft, but I'm not sure.
When you mentioned the papers earlier, that made me think, like, is that Murdoch putting his hat in the ring, saying he's going to carry on supporting the Conservatives because he wants a fascist government, basically.
Yeah, of course he does.
Yeah, because it suits him down to the ground. Yeah.
It's not fascism, let's put it this way, because also this week, a lot of the people that's been appearing with positive things to say on the politics show have been friends of Israel. And also this week, the Henry Jackson Society, which claims to be a non-political society, is in fact, they're all friends of Israel, all of them. And even they've been allowed to have their voice on the BBC politics show this week as well. So what's it got to do with the Henry Jackson Society? All you care about is what's going on in fucking Tel Aviv. Yeah. And most of the politicians that are coming out spouting this, that and the other, their interests are only in what's going on in Tel Aviv, including the fucking Prime Minister. Thank you very much. You know, strike me down, raid me with a pile of coppers in the morning if I've said something wrong and I'm being a fucking non-violent extremist. But, you know, let's call a spade a spade. I either go with I either agree with what you say or I don't agree, and I don't agree, so I'm a dissenter, so I'm a non-violent extremist, I'm afraid. So I don't want to kill anyone.
7/7 did not occur according to the official story. The official story has so many holes in it, it may as well be thrown straight out the window with the rest of the bullshit. There are too many threads that link dubious influences into what happened on 7/7. I could say it was an inside job, but I think it stretches much further than that and most likely has links into other nations. So, Mr. Cameron, come and get me, you little fucker.
He's far too busy, Cookie. He's too busy.
And
playing golf with Obama.
Yeah, the then Home Secretary of the Labour Party, who had the government at the time, actually told a lie when it was talked about in Parliament, because he said that the terrorists arrived on the 740 from Luton, and you check the records, you'll find the 740 from Luton never existed, it was cancelled.
Yeah. Yep. There's so many holes in that story, it's like, you know,
it's like the bus as well, the bus fitting. That was a bus that shouldn't have been on that route.
That's right. So how did he know to get on it where it was going? And And
why don't you check it round and double back and all that shit? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And is it the Royal College of Surgeons where the bus blew up?
No, it was outside the Tavistock Institute.
Well, on one side, I think it's the Royal College of Surgeons. And there was a doctor came rushing out. A female doctor came rushing out to give help to the injured straight away, and she saw something that she shouldn't have seen because I think it was within 48 hours, she was a dead woman.
Yeah. Were you aware that this is information that's been put out by the Able Danger Team, that the walking wounded from those events were taken to the basement of the Marks and Spencers. I think another lot was taken to like a hotel. You know, these people weren't rushed to casualty hospitals that were nearby. They were taken off separate. So, and I think obviously those that saw things that they shouldn't have done never made it to the hospital. So that's been from what's been told. So
Anyone who's not clear about what went on at 7/7, if you go to Richard D. Hall's site, you'll also see some drawings of the actual trains that were in this thing, and you'll notice that the evidence is that the plates are blown upwards and bent, curling upwards. Well, if they were internal explosions, the pressure would have been on the plate from the opposite direction. So, you know, go and see Richard D. Hall's video on it. It's and listen to the talk about Muad'Dib.
I'd recommend Tom Secker as well. He's done some fantastic work from collating all those bits of evidence. And we've mentioned a few here. There's a hell of a lot more that are like open to question or just totally unbelievable what the official story is. So go and check it out for yourself, folks. Don't believe anything I'm telling you, because I'm a non-violent extremist. Ooh!
Yeah. And then another very good video to look up on YouTube, if it's still up, is 7/7, the ripple effect. Yeah. And that breaks down the entire day from start to end. So I recommend it.
It lives!
Go on, Kip, do you have something to say? Do you want to?
I have nothing to say. But it's
who is your daddy? And what does he do?
Kip's invoking his right to remain silent.
Yeah.
I thought he was trying to exercise the gin.
the gin has been exercised.
He's carrying out his own exorcism, I think. Exorcism live on Google Hangout. That's got to be a first.
The kids.
March 3rd of October. Nice one, Kip. So yeah, recommend people check that out. So yeah, that's some really good points there. Thanks, Kempo. Thanks, Cookie.
I've not really been watching much that's been going on abroad, other than the fact that is it not true that today they suddenly found out that some rocket went awry from some jet somewhere and landed quite close to Bashar al-Assad's headquarters?
No, I've not heard that. Has anyone else heard anything about that?
Yeah, we heard that at tea time, but whether it's true or not, I've no idea.
I read the news today.
Oh boy.
I think Kip found his own rocket over there.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on mainstream media news.
If you sing another line, it's a copyright strike.
Yeah. Right, so anyway, I'll just take a dip quick and we'll say.
I'm getting feedback.
Sorry, this has been. Dave.
No. I'm not going to microphone now.
Don't go into the light.
No, stay away. Just say no.
Don't touch your button.
Squeeze your butt cheeks really together really tight.
Squeeze.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Oh dear! I thought you would have gone like alien abducted from the cemetery.
It's muted. It's mute. I can't hear a fucking thing again. Jesus. Fucking Dean, turn it down when it gets that screeching.
Crazy fools.
Crazy bitch.
Oh, you can hear me again now.
Yeah, can hear you, but it's because he's got his microphone on, he's getting feedback. Got me earphone plugged in and I'm not
We're being sonared.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's picking up both mics. But if I turn the volume down on this, we can't hear you.
Oh, in case it's of any use to any people out there over the
This
next
is
few
very
weeks, I'm going to be learning because I've downloaded all the laws wrapped around being a bailiff, and I'm going to start researching into these little bits and bobs. And hopefully we might be able to answer a few questions on bailiffs if any of you out there are worried about bailiffs in the next couple of 3 weeks. I'll let
Oh,
you
well,
know.
Kinder, if it's any use to you, I used to actually know a couple of bailiffs. So, believe me, the people that I know that work as bailiffs are not as bright as what people would have them believe. So, I'll give you a heads up on that later, Kinder.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
downloaded
Lord,
all the legislation that they're supposed to abide by, and I've also downloaded the list of every accredited certificated bailiff in the UK.
Yeah, well, that would be
just for a novel, because if there's going to be one banging on my door, he best be qualified and up to the job. Because if he ain't on the list, he ain't coming in.
If your name's
Well,
not down, you're not coming in.
If he's on the list, he's not fucking coming in either.
No, true.
Not that I've got bailiffs chasing me at the moment, but just in case there's any, bad-minded people out there who want to send a bailiff around, they better be fucking good.
No, I don't think that they would. Anyway, I'll just do a quick update from the chat room. The people that have further joined us this evening, thank you and welcome. We've got 666 Truth Seeker 666, and then AK4 Hour T 7 even 47. Trying to read all of this. Rebel Radius, XXX Pallistax XX, Wonka Vision. We've got Nike Packham, In-Depth Slavery, John Doe and Ken Bob. Welcome to you all. I've just noticed a couple of bits that they were picking, catching up, speaking about in the chat. So I'll just have a quick double look.
It's a good job you're female with all this multitasking going on.
Oh, believe me, yeah, I've got
guys,
two screens open.
Interrupt and get echo and stuff. Dean just said he's making the breakfast tomorrow.
Oh, that sounds good.
Dean, you said you're making the breakfast tomorrow.
I'm in cooking, mate. That's all. Not one bit.
No. Now I've got John Doe's brought up thing else.
Yeah.
I said that. You can't hear me.
I can hear you, Taz. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Friday in Scotland.
I can't room to hear me. According to the chief witness of Operation Fern Tree, I've now got David Cameron is a paedophile, and as I'm saying this, I've got a Chinook helicopter flying past my window. Did you not?
I just thought I heard something.
Yeah, can you hear that? Yeah, but Chinook. I live not far from a base. It's not far from here. And if you were to hear it, I might have to mute it up if it gets any louder. And John Doe has brought up a very good point. If Cameron has covered up so much child abuse, if he isn't a child abuser, I'll eat shit live on live TV. Yeah, I would imagine that you'd get a good response from that, John Doe. Speaking as a cover for payments rendered during his time as a Prime Minister. Yeah, I mean, we're all pretty kind of gathering now that young Cameron is playing his part out there. and being a good little puppy. What else have we got here? Blazing Stars is calling George Bush the devil. Probably not far wrong.
He's the devil that went down to Georgia then, if he is.
Yeah.
Fool me once,
So,
fool me, shame on you, me. Fool me again, shame on
yeah, shame on. And there I've kind of lost part of the I've lost the scroll bar trying to scroll down the track because it moves quite fast. So anyway, hand over to back to you until I can figure out where I am.
Okay. Thank you for keeping up with the chat. I know it doesn't always work properly and stuff like that. Mine only seems to update every so often, so, but it's working. That's the main thing.
Yeah, we're giving it a go. What else is the point on there that yeah, Society brought up a point earlier on saying Anti-Slave Boy is a very good YouTube channel. I've subscribed to him myself. He's put up a video of an Australian guy who's called Frank O'Collins. He talks about Roman law, and he gave all the history of the papal bulls that claim the world. And anyway, he's put a link up. I'll put the link up again. This is recent. If anyone wants to go and watch this, I have watched it myself, and it's very informative. And basically, I think that the Crown and the Pope and everyone has basically classed everything as theirs. So I think that includes us as well. I think from what I can gather, the entire world. Sorry?
And your eternal soul.
Yes, my eternal soul, and so they own everything.
So even though the Church of Scientism will try to convince you that there is no such thing as a soul or your spirit or your energy self, whatever, they can't avoid the fact that many centuries ago these massive institutions laid claim to them, and they now use that as economic collateral, and maybe other stuff as well. So, but they're all just bits of paper as far as I'm concerned. They can all F off.
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm. I mean, at the end of the day, they can call the sky green for whatever. Does it make it so?
No.
Just because they've got a bit of paper that says they have access to my spirit, I withdraw the divine right of access.
Yeah, to everything.
Yeah.
You may not. So go do one. Yeah.
Synchronistically enough, I think I mentioned this earlier. The latest upload from Max Egan, he uploaded a speech he gave in, I think it was in Copenhagen. Oh, big truck. But he mentions that in there as well, and I can't remember if he references that guy. I know he references someone, but he does do a quick explanation about the papal bulls. That's the latest upload you'll find on his Crow House channel. It's worth the 2-hour watch if you've got the time to watch it. It is a good encapsulation of the situation at the moment, and I thought it was quite synchronistic to a lot of the stuff we've all been talking about recently. So for me, I take that as positive that there are more and more people becoming aware of this kind of stuff, and the information is starting to coalesce, and it's all gravitating together to actually start making stuff happen, hopefully.
Yeah, so that's Max Egan or Max Egan, MaxIGAN, and he's from the crowhouse.com.
Yes.
If anyone's interested in checking out more information on that, Max is Australian. As far as I know, he does amazing work. He did go out to Gaza a little while ago, I believe so, and he's got some footage on there for anyone who wants to go over to his site and check it out. And he's a wealth of knowledge. and he's definitely got a radio voice to listen to.
Yeah.
But he explains things very well. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Mac. So yeah, so I'm just having a quick look. Unless anyone else got anything they want to bring up.
No, I'm just trying to speed read as the comments are popping up.
Yeah, it's very difficult to try and.
I'm sorry I haven't got the link for the chat box for dealing with the bailiffs, but it is a PDF that's available and downloadable on. If you do a Google search, that is the title of it. Sorry, not deking, dealing. Dealing with the bailiffs, case law. .pdf, and if you do that in a Google search, you'll find it, or you should do. There's other stuff you can download as well. I've got some other titles, but I've not got any of the links. It's not saved the links for some stupid reason. There's notice to cease and desist, 4 dots, docx, and there's another one, case law for removal of implied rights, .docx, and that's another PDF that I downloaded. And just for the novel, there was another one, the uninvited person's doorstep questionnaire form, .doc, which is quite interesting. You know, some person you don't know comes banging on your door, ask them to fill the questionnaire in first, and 9 times out of 10 they'll just refuse and walk off. So
yeah, I think didn't Stephen and Man do a similar one for the TV license goons? He had like a goon checklist that they had to fill out.
yeah, it was fun enough.
So yeah, you're asking me my name, mate. What's your name? What's your address? What's your date of birth? What's your national insurance number? Sign at the bottom, please.
By the way, while we're out there, if any more ladies want to come in and join Tazzy, she's doing a sterling job, but you know, she's keeping us all in check, of course, but she could do with some estrogen help if you're out there.
Yeah, come on, girls, come and join me. Yeah, I've been trying keeping up with the chat on here. John Doe is put this not gonna right. George Bush is a pedophile. George H.W. is a ritual child murderer. George W. Bush was caught kissing the 14-year-old son of a judge. Naughty boy. Michael and McAllister's put, and they're related to the Queen, the Bushes. And Clooney is a Queen and Bush relative. Oh, I didn't know that.
Also connected to the Clintons, I believe.
Yeah, I've found that.
The Clintons are of a dubious past. Bill Clinton.
Oh, the body count around the Clintons. Yeah, go check that out on YouTube if anyone wants to.
Bush is a Rhodesian scholar. There's something else for you all to look up. Rhodesian scholars, and then trace Cecil Rhodes and have a look at what happened to his money in the 6 wills that he left, and then follow the history of what happened to his money, where it was used, and you'll find that what we've got running the country today are the descendants of that little bit of a conspiracy, if you want to call it that. But one of the clues to pick up on is Milner's kindergarten. And you'll find out that Milner's connected to all sorts of nice societies like the Fabians and the Tavistock Institute and all that stuff. But that's all a conspiracy.
Yeah, I recommend a very good book that I've read before, which is The Committee of 300. And in the back of that book, actually, I should dig it out. But he's got a breakdown of what we would call it, just like a management chart of where the CIA, MI5, and and all of that. Look, where do they fit in, and like all these societies that you've just spoken about, of where they fit into that, and that's by Dr. John Coleman. That's the Committee of 300. I got a book. I did get it from Amazon, so I do apologise. But I don't know whether, but there are plenty of lectures available on YouTube of Dr. John Coleman. So I recommend people look that up. It's very good information. And they give you a lot of information in that book also with regards to the opium trade, cocaine trade, and who's making it, and obviously the Bushes are well in with the transporting of cocaine in America. Came in via the oil platforms and then was brought ashore, and obviously then shipped around. Miami, I think, was actually built on cocaine money. So that's how they managed.
I don't know if anybody knows it, but George Bush Jr., when he was ended his presidency, was given a gift of a 100,000-acre farm in one of, I don't know whether it's Ecuador. It's in a South American country anyway, so there's shitloads of cocaine arriving there, and it's surrounded by the CIA, and they're in control of what gets in and what gets out.
Yep.
Didn't they also, quite a few of them, I think the Bushes and the Clintons were all buying land in that kind of area that were near aquifers or had their own aquifers, stuff like that. They're setting themselves up their little fortresses, basically. Because they know that eventually when the dam breaks, they're going to have to get the hell out of Dodge, because there'll be a lynch mob coming for them.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that people do that, but that's their thinking. It exemplifies their thinking. They know full well that when the shit hits the fan, they're going to be hung up on the lampposts.
Yeah, and everybody's going to be heading for that farm down in Ecuador or wherever it is.
Yeah. No, we'll just send the drones.
Yeah, send in the drone.
Yeah, isn't it? One of Obama's favourite lines is, "I have 2 words for you, get a drone."
I was also going to suggest we could fund some local native tribes to sneak in and drop some ayahuasca into the water supply. Set up some surveillance drones so we can all sit back and watch like Big Brother. Watch them all go through their purging, let's put it that way. What else in the news recently? Because I haven't looked at much mainstream news recently. I know this might sound really horrible, but I'm trying to be objective about the way the propaganda comes out and how it's being circulated and whatever. But once the Ebola thing kicked off, with the first official announcement of there being a case in the USA, I thought, right, sit back, wait, watch the propaganda spread and propagate and exponentially explode all over the place, which it started doing. So for the last few days, I've just sort of been taking a note of the headlines and that, but letting it develop so that we can get a better view of where they're trying to take this. Because at the moment, the simple facts of the situation, and this is, leave aside the potentiality that it's completely faked, that it's some kind of hoax, that there is no patient zero or whatever. Leave that aside for now. Let's just take the potential situation, if it's genuine, for what they're describing it as. There is absolutely no way they can control it now if it's gone the way they've said. It quite clearly breaches their own codes of conduct for such a situation if it's gone the way they've said. So not only are they culpable for malpractice, for failure to fulfill their duties, they've also basically allowed it to spread, because this goes beyond like malpractice and failure to do your job. This is like, well, you have had so many opportunities to put in the required controls to stop this kind of thing happening, and you haven't. Yeah, and you've had several times you could have done that in several different places. That's beyond mistakes or stuff like that, or lack of communication, or all the other usual plausible deniability bullshit. Which is why I feel this is being. I mean, I know this sounds preaching to the choir, really are. I think for the general kind of audience that we get watching these kind of stuff, for us saying this kind of shit. But how else to present that information for people who are so shortened in their attention span and their awareness that all they see is that fear porn propaganda bombardment?
There are quite a few that still see it because they are these are the people who pick up newspapers and read them on a regular basis on the way to work or have a break time. They're just bombarded by it, and they live by what's going on. Because I've got a couple on the close, and they're very typical. We had a discussion at bin gathering time. The bin men had been, we gathered up the bins, and he said, "Where's your car gone?" And we went to talk about the car, and then he said something political, and I said, "I suppose you're going with it." Oh, that was it. Did you hear Osborne's speech? And I'm like, "No, I didn't." He goes, "Well, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. Wait till Farage gets him, he'll sort him out." And I'm going, "Okay." So, righto. So that's
more of the same. The same idiot with a different name.
Yeah.
No, I just
what's going to do good for anybody.
I just turned around to him and said, "Well, look, the RAF have been bombing the Middle East since yesterday. It's going to cost £12 billion, and basically somebody's got to pay for that. And right now, Farage is using that as an angle. But be rest assured, if you fancy Farage at the moment, when he's done with fracking your ass, you'll be calling him a different name." I says, "Because if you allow him to get in, he's going to go along and frack your ass because he's after the cash, same as the other lot." And I says, "And bear in mind that you're not at the moment. You've got a right party with a sort of so-called liberalist centre and a left wing that is redder than they're prepared to own up to being. And you're going to go and rock the boat now by putting Farage in, and he's even further right than your friend Cameron. So, you might as well fucking hand it all over to a bunch of brown shirts and black uniforms and armbands, hadn't you? And just say, fucking do what you like with it."
Yeah.
So, at that, another neighbour joined in. And I don't know. In the end, I just told this guy to stop being politically naive. It's high time you started listening to, stop looking at fucking newspapers and listening to what people are saying, not what people want you to hear.
Yeah. Stop letting them tell you what to think and what to think about. Because all they're doing is making you dance around in a circle. I prefer this puppet on the left. No, I prefer this puppet on the right. They're both fucking puppets.
But just harping back to the Ebola thing, I did notice that yesterday another American journalist has been put on a special plane because he's contaminated, and they're going to treat him back in America. Is it because he knows something they don't want us to know?
Oh, the original 2 Americans that were taken to America. The lady.
Yeah.
Was it with this last surname of Ebol? Well, now they're both cured. So I think that they're now going to go out on the circuit to promote that new serum that they took. Their experimental serum. So I think they're probably going to be jumping on the bandwagon to go out to promote that next. But that's just my opinion.
Vitamin C, folks, it hates vitamin C, so there's a clue.
Yeah, high dosage vitamin C, I've also heard, is very good for fighting back cancer as well. So.
Yeah, there's a good one for you. A cup of hot water, well, an empty cup or beaker, half a lime squeezed into it, half a lemon squeezed into it, a good dollop of honey, and half a spoon or a spoonful of coconut oil, then top it up with hot water, boiled, from the kettle. Give it a good stir up and keep stirring it because it's got a bit of an oily consistency. But by God, you watch your immune system boost right up after being on that for a couple of weeks. 2 a day, 1 in the morning, 1 at night. You get a detoxifying effect from the lemons and the limes, which purges your kidneys and your liver of all the toxic, whatever you've been doing that's toxic during the day, like me, smoking, and and also you get a blast of vitamin C at a time during breakfast when your body's going to absorb it the most. So, and then late at night it'll be in your stomach, and you'll be absorbing the vitamin C from the juices as well. Plus the coconut oil will be doing you a world of good, and so will the honey. And you won't even have to go for a flu shot.
Excellent. Well, that sounds good, Kendo. Can you put the recipe in the chat room for me, please?
Yeah.
If you don't mind. I'm sure. I'll never do that myself.
Yeah, I'll mute up while I tap.
Yeah, thank you very much. Right, I'm just going to pick up a few points of what was just written in the chat. John Doe was talking about William Cooper as Bill Cooper, a naval intelligence officer. We kind of got a difference of opinion as to whether he was controlled or not. But yeah, he put out a very good information. He also wrote a book on the Behold a Pale Horse, which is available in a PDF download free. If you just put in Behold a Pale Horse. By William Cooper, or Bill Cooper. Not to be confused with Alex Jones's Behold a Pale Horse, which he made a documentary on, which I thought was very sneaky after Bill died. So thanks for that, John Doe, thank you. And John Doe also says that in 2001, Clinton was allegedly set up with pedophile entrapment in Australia, which sounds about the MO that comes out of the Serco ring, that I understand that they're involved in that. John Doe, if you want to head over to abledanger.net, they've got a lot of information about pedophile entrapment and just how far back that goes. That might tie in with the Clintons on there. And he's also written Bill Clinton was linked to Australian, British, Chinese, and Jewish American pedophiles. And he's put links in the YouTube chat. So thanks for that, John Doe. We've got another comment on here of another view has put up that al-Baghdadi is a Mossad agent named Elliot Shimon. And he's also put a YouTube link to that for anyone that's interested. And I'd like to say welcome to Hell Wars. Hello. We haven't heard from you for a while, so welcome back to Kit's channel. Kit's otherwise indisposed at the moment. He's captain another ship, so we're having to set sail on our own some over here. So anyway, Hell Wars has said that Hillary and Bill have connections to the Frank Gannon Laurel Canyon, which is a CIA hippie movement scam. So yeah, thanks for that, Hell Wars, and it's good to have you back. So thank you. And that's as far as I've got to. So
I like the fact that
anyone's got any more expansion on either of those topics that I've just mentioned?
No, I've got a complete tangent. I just like the fact that as I happened to look towards the comments when you first started mentioning it, one of the first comments I saw was Ken Bob saying, "Eyes right, cookie." It's like, huh?
Yeah.
That's good timing, mate.
Yeah, I saw that. That was good.
It's probably because as you reading them out, I always check them as well, so I can try and catch up on what people are saying. But yeah, please remember as well, people, there is a glitch going on with Google at the moment, such that that chat room, the one that runs live while we're broadcasting live, will be erased when the broadcast ends. If you leave your page open that you're viewing it on YouTube, it will stay there until you move to another page or refresh. So if there's any links or notes that people are putting there, please make a note of them for yourself, because that chat will not be under the video when the video ends up on on Kip's channel.
Yeah, yeah. Google seems to be playing silly daft buggers with a lot of channels at the moment. As we know, we're kind of all the channels are under attack by trolls and shills, and God knows people are having their channels taken down for the slightest, infringement of Google and YouTube's policy. I myself have had a video taken down, so
even if you're not infringing their policy, this is as well what's frustrating about it, and I think they're doing it because they know it will create conflict and friction. But there's people having their channel shut down, and when you look at what they've supposedly done, it does not breach the terms and conditions, but the channel's been shut down anyway.
Yeah, so, censorship seems to be off the charts at the moment, so that's Ken Bob's written it's not a glitch, it's a weapon, and I probably tend to agree with you, Ken Bob. That's probably a very good point. That they're doing anything and everything they can to get everybody arguing. I mean, you have so many arguments and things, people shouting shill, troll, with the censorship that's going on, and obviously with the amount of false flags and everything being thrown at us at the moment, it seems like everybody's emotions and tensions are very, very high. So how we just got to inject a little bit of humour into all of this. Sorry? Are you a shill, Bill? Are you a shill, Kit?
No, I don't know. Maybe I myself that you were saying, but I'm saying the false flag was obviously a shill.
A shill.
Are you shelling shills on the shill shore?
Yeah.
I think so.
I thought so.
The false flag's a shill.
False flag is a shill. Yeah, that'd be about right.
The echo mirror. I don't know. Sorry to interrupt. I should.
So yeah,
listening through the other.
It's even better, mate, because then it's like a tangent that helps stir up the conversation.
Alright, so let's put on there. Hell Wars has put up a thing. He's obviously calling out. Here, I'll expose Ebola right now. Who controls the cross? Is that the Red Cross? Who controls the hospitals and the Red Cross? It probably will be the Knights Templar. So if you see a Red Cross unit, being knocked up down the road from you, run the other way. That's what I'll be doing.
It's the Octagon, and I'm not referring to a really bad 1980s Chuck Norris movie.
Yeah. Well, it seems
although there is that as well.
Yeah, as soon as the UN and the Red Cross turn up, people start dying in their droves. So,
well, there was. I didn't check further into it, but there was that newspaper article from Liberia, and supposedly it's a respected mainstream media newspaper for over there, for in Liberia. I think it was called The Observer, the Liberian Observer, I think it was it. And in there was a direct accusation that the USA are deliberately propagating the Ebola virus, and that potentially, this wasn't a direct accusation because obviously I think they're probably short of proof or evidence to back it up, but we're talking about they are altering the Ebola virus to make it spread more, to make it survive longer. So, because one of the things about the Ebola virus is because it's so ferocious in the way it burns through people, through the human body, that restricts its ability to spread. Because obviously once people start getting the full-on symptoms, it doesn't take them very long to either survive or die from it. So it doesn't tend to transmit in great jumps. But since it was first discovered, each time there's been an outbreak, its ability to survive has got longer and longer. And this has partly fueled the speculation that somebody out there is messing with it to try and make it more deadlier than it already is. So check that if you can find it. A Liberian observer. I can't remember his name. He was a politician or a councillor or something like that over there. Had put out this statement where he did directly accuse them of actively manipulating the situation to propagate the spread of the virus.
So do you think they're genetically, while they're treating people, they're taking samples and genetically modifying them and then like pumping them into someone else? Or
trying to weaponize it as much as possible, basically.
Yeah.
And you know that's the thing, because like I said, in every instance so far that there's been outbreaks, and I think there's only been a handful of outbreaks in recorded history, you know, that they've actually identified and tracked, and each time it's got slightly bigger, so it's affected slightly more people near enough each time. So yeah, is it being tampered with, or is it a natural process that we're watching? But it still leaves all this shit open of, like, the CDC's own code of conduct has got a massive list of all the things they should have done by now that they haven't done. And I can remember 6 months ago when they were talking about, like, oh, that CDC expert on one of the mainstream channels saying basically, oh, this is going to become an epidemic. We're not able to control it. It's like, what the hell is your job then? What is it that you claim to do and have all these powers to be able to do, you know, the legal authority to do, but you're not doing them, while at the same time you're telling us it's going to get worse?
If they can ring fence Cardiff for a NATO meeting, right? Why haven't they not been able, with the world's resources, to ring fence a fucking area in a country as rapid as they ring fence Cardiff?
I did mention this. I brought this up at the time. We were doing hangouts while the convention was on, and I made sure to point out, to remind people, that Cardiff is the CDC centre for the UK. Why is it that they're having the meeting there while at the same time the Ebola propaganda was building up in the background? I don't find that to be a coincidence. It's not.
No such things as coincidences, Cookie.
No.
We are learning that.
There are causal pathways that become ever more complex until we can no longer comprehend them fully. Boom.
Yeah.
Boom. Proof.
Chilling thought.
Right, Kendo, going back to what you were saying earlier on about the high dose vitamin C, Michael M. McAllister actually written, that's what I do for a living, high dose IV vitamin C infusions for cancer. And there's a website here, she's written ivcinfusions.com. If anyone wants to go over there and have a look, thank you for that, Michael M. McAllister. Following the comments, also she's written vitamin C heals E. coli, I think it's supposed to be Ebola, Hep C, AIDS, Lyme, swine and polio, cancer, virus, fungus and all bacteria. Kendo is right on. And lipospheric vitamin C is the gold standard for by mouth taking. So, and there's a book, Curing the Incurable, by a Dr. T. Levy, Levy. So, it has all through vitamin C's recipes needed for Ebola. So, thanks for that, Mike and Anne.
I haven't read the book, but I've watched a couple of his lectures, and yeah, definitely worth watching, checking out his information. He's been putting out this point of view from a medical sense for many years, and he's been ostracised by the mainstream academic medical field. That to me is always an indication, almost always, that this is somebody who is a true heretic. He actually has some good information, and that's why they're trying to push him out so far, so that people don't know about him, don't hear the info, and it gets lost in the mire of their scientism. Sorry to butt in on you, Tazzy.
No, that's okay. No, go ahead.
I noticed there was an article in the week, I can't remember who put it up, about the child that was refused access to school because he'd not been vaccinated, and that he was going to put the whole school at risk by going there.
That will be the next thing. Is I was told I couldn't put my dog in a dog kennel unless he was vaccinated with dog kennel cough. And within a week or 2 weeks of having that vaccination, because I had no other choice,
Right.
I'd run out of all sources of friends and family to pot into. Otherwise, believe me, I really didn't want to do that. But within 1 or 2 weeks, I learned he developed this strange cough that I've never ever heard before. So yeah, I feel awful for doing that. So they'll do it to kids. It'll come.
Can I just point out the absolute total fallacy of that logic about an unvaccinated person being a risk to a vaccinated person or human? Yeah. It is totally, utterly illogical. And if they insist on that thread, on that concept, you could take them through a court of law for that, because by their very own statement, they are proving that vaccines do not work. Because if vaccines work, an unvaccinated person is no risk whatsoever to everybody else that has been vaccinated.
That's right. That's exactly right. But two Labour politicians have used the previous, not what you just said, the previous.
The illogical version.
Yeah, and people have swallowed it twice on Question Time in the last 12 months that I know of, because I've been shouting at the TV when they've done it.
Yeah, it is complete and utter doublethink, and people have been so indoctrinated into it that it just doesn't even register as a question. Yeah. It's not even given a second thought. It's just straight through the cerebellum.
Yep. And to them, it seems right as well, because I had this situation with over my grandson, and I said, if they start telling you that he's going to be a risk to thousands of other kids who've been vaccinated, I just said no. The other kids are a bigger risk to him. But either way, it ended up. That they were presented with a declaration where they would have to take personal responsibility for any adverse effects, either now or in the future. And nobody would sign the declaration, so the doctors aren't pushing anything at the moment, so we're okay. And he's 3.5 now, and he hasn't had one yet.
Cool.
And he's coming on like a boxer in training.
Yeah.
So it's worth battling for if he can, but we don't know how long it's going to get. By the time he gets to 11, 12, I think they will have made it mandatory that anyone entering any school anywhere will have to have so many jabs.
I think it'll stretch beyond the schools as well. anywhere that they can get away with it. So large workplaces, large public gathering areas, you know, shit like that. It will become another part of your biometric data set. So when you show your pass to be allowed into sector G, you know, in that biometric data will be a confirmation that you have been vaccinated for blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Well, people's mandate, let's stop it now.
It's that, I know it's often been referred to the gradualisms thing, but what just confounds me the most is the way people are just stuck in such dissonant thinking that you can show that it's almost like you can show them a picture of what it's going to end up like, and they look at it and go, oh yeah, and then they just carry on still going the same direction. It's like waving at somebody to say, mate, there's a car driving straight towards you, and they just keep walking straight into the vehicle. It's like, I know, you know, it's, again, I'm stating the obvious. I'm doing Captain Obvious again, but it does bamboozle me. It leaves me feeling like how I guess their brain must be going at the time you say this stuff to them.
Yeah, but they're even prepared to go on prime time TV and spout the same shit, and because Carolyn Flint was one of the MPs that I do remember, Carolyn Flint, and she did it on prime time, and she pushed and managed to assert that thought pattern, that philosophy to an audience of at least 100 people.
They're picked audience, say, for question time.
Yeah, I agree. But you know,
it's been a many number of years since I've seen anyone raise a question in that audience that even slightly shook the standard political line. You know, you're going back to the 90s, and I've got vague recollection of people standing up and shouting things and stuff. You just don't see that now. Absolutely not, ever.
It's all steered, guided. The audience is picked and
vetted.
And there's also, I don't know how many second delays. So if you do say something, they get a chance to wipe what you've just said, and you know what the BBC like. They used to have got these special fucking editing machines that more or less think for themselves now, and they've been doing that on radio for long enough, so you know for a fact that they're doing it on TV as well.
Yeah. And for some odd reason, it's probably just the way my pen works, but the only word I can ever recall to mind that's on the keyword list is cloud. So, cloud, there you go. Flag that in your keyword algorithm.
You don't upload anything to cloud, because you'll lose it, and it'll be plastered all over the internet, and then everyone will be crying, going, they lost it.
I did catch sight of an advertisement as well. I think I was watching 5 minutes of bloody. Oh God, it don't matter. Anyway, it was the show that's on a Sunday night about cars. I can't, you know, that's how often I watch it. I can't even remember it, but I remembered the advert because it was like NLP'd me straight away, and it was IBM bragging off about the new cloud that they're setting up and how everyone can trust it. And then I thought to myself, hang on a minute, that's a bit of a contradiction in terms. Wasn't IBM set up by a bunch of Nazis who escaped to Argentina? And
IBM Farben was main industrial group, and look into them in connection to the Bush family and their funding and the chemical products that they output, etc., etc. And then after the war, they just dropped the Farben and became IBM. And from that point on, they got their sticky little fingers into computer technology, electronic technology, transistors, and from that point,
all sorts,
they became quite intrinsic into the building of the original DARPA structure that is now the backbone of, well, what's left of it, some of it, the backbone of the internet.
This reminded me, like,
real
there's
deep
your lawnmower man. It's like Lawnmower Man, you know, IBM, the cloud you can trust, about as far as you can spit lead.
And it's again, it's one of those little points in history where people think, oh, you know, it's boring old, dusty old history. We don't need to look at that. And it's like, yeah, but trace the root back of where this shit is coming from. And do you find it conveniently coincidental that this particular company that supposedly aided in the mass death of many millions of people is now messing with computers, and now our world is run by computers? It's curious how that works, isn't it? Did we win the war, or what? What the fuck happened there? I'm not sure.
Nobody wins in war. People die. Everybody gets orchestrated to go play their game. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's a vast amount of death that's involved in that game, unfortunately.
I've got two photographs in my mum's collection of photographs that I grabbed hold of when she died. And there's a group of friends that she hung about with. I've mentioned this park, Woollerton Park in Nottingham. And one time, shortly before D-Day, it was a camp for American, I think it was the 101st and the 92nd Airborne, plus another airborne group. And there was 3 or 4 of the Americans were designated to take their washing to my grandmother, and she did their washing. So obviously they got friendly and dropped a bit of clay ration stuff off, so my grandma and her family was looked after. And my mum was probably in her late teens, 19, 20, something like that. So she would be almost 21, and you know, so she'd be. Well, the reputation of the Americans in Britain during the Second World War was oversexed and over here, I think was one of the lines. But I don't think that happened to my mum. But anyway, one of them offered to marry her and take her back to somewhere. Anyway, there's a photograph in the collection of 3 guys, airborne parachutists in their overalls, and they've all got their arms around, linking 3 people. And there's also a follow-up photograph. Only one of the 3 survived, and the photograph was taken as soon as he came home on leave, but it was to the States, not Britain, and he sent me mum a photograph, and no 2 ways about it, he'd aged 10 years through that little escapade on the night before D-Day and what happened after D-Day. So if anybody wants to, it'd take me ages to dig the photographs out and put the proof on screen, but believe you me, those 2 photographs exist, and it's just amazing. There's 3 people there, and there's one, and one's aged 10 years.
Wow. Oh, thanks for that, Kendall. That's amazing what war does to people.
Yeah.
War is murder. I've said that a few times recently because, the way they're banging the war drums. I think it was an Einstein quote. If I can remember the quote, I'll probably paraphrase it a bit. Killing under the cloak of war is still murder. Something like that. So basically, war is murder.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to it, it doesn't really matter which side wins because we die and they profit.
Correct. Yeah.
Hell Wars has put in the chat room, the bankers won't win if you don't use them. But that's the ploy now. They're trying to get us to use the banks for everything, aren't they? Has anyone seen? I don't know where I've seen it. It might have been on Google Plus. It was just a photograph, or it might have been in the newspaper. I can't remember. It was just a photograph of a Tesco card with a couple of the corporation, Equator or whoever it is. I don't know, Atos, and this can only be used to buy food. You can't buy cigarettes or beer with it. All you're going to get when you end up on the, job seekers and stuff.
Yeah, the American equivalent of a ETB card, which is kind of like a welfare card that I understand that they use in the shops. I think
Ration card.
American people would know more about that than us over here in Britain.
They experimented on a small community of about 200 people in Australia, and they were moaning like mad about it because you just restricted supermarkets. End up.
Yeah, yeah, and it'll probably be one of those like you can only go to Walmart, and which is our equivalent. I understand it's one of the parent companies of Asda is
Yes.
Walmart. I could be wrong, but
yeah, it is. Walmart owns us.
yeah.
And if it's Tesco's, we know where that's going. Tessie Cohen. Not to mention the Z word again. But and Tesco's are in the shit at the moment, so they need to be got out of the shit by the government. So they'll probably start issuing these cards as soon as they think they can get away with it, which will probably be if the Tories lead the next coalition. You can guarantee it because they promised to reduce or not lift the benefit rates for working people into it. So all you're going to get when you go on JSA is a card, and they'll have an ability to switch it on or off at their request. They'll switch it off within a fucking second and all.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Blazing Stars has just put up a comment on there saying Virgin Media are charging him $5 a month because he won't set up a direct debit with them. Now we're getting penalised.
Yes, we do. Because I'm similar, I won't, unless I absolutely have no other choice, I don't do direct debits from banks.
No, I don't.
I prefer to have the bill.
Anyone.
Yeah, I have the bill and I go and pay cash for the bill, because there's all these like pay point places you can go in, most corner shops and whatever. I won't let them utilise my bank account in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. That is. I mean, we're gonna go cashless. No
if
doubt
you have to pay something through the bank, and it's the kind of organisation that gets heavy with you, don't do a direct debit. Set up a standing order, because that way, a standing order cannot be tampered with. Whereas if you set up a direct debit with some of these companies, they can tamper with a direct debit and take more than you agree to. Yeah. So whereas if you set up a standing order, provided you keep to the arrangement and pay on the day that you say, they cannot tamper with a standing order at all. You can check that in law. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
Another little bit of information for that chat box out there. I love it.
Yeah. I had that
more freedom in your mind, Phil.
I had that with my gas and electric. In the end, the amounts that they were taking from my bank account were just like, come on, this place isn't that big. This is getting ridiculous. And so I basically cancelled the direct debit. I mean, you would think that I was living like a 10-bedroom house, the amount that was just coming through, and they were just taking a piss. And I moved out of that property anyway, and I moved into where I moved to, and literally my bills kind of came down by 3/4, just by moving and refusing to pay by direct debit. Crazy. Absolutely crazy, but I won't do it again. The only thing that I've got set up by standing order is my rent. That's it.
Yeah. And if you are being hassled by corporations that are trying over the phone to get you to pay more per month than you really, and these are payments that you can't avoid paying. And let's say you've got behind with your water and there was an extra charge going on, you can negotiate with them until the cows come home. They'll want to assert themselves on the phone. Whereas if you go to the bank and decide and say, look, I can only afford so and so, you go to the bank, set up that standing order, and pay them that so and so. If they take you to court, the judgment won't be found for them. It'll be found for you because you made an effort to do something about the debt and you took it upon yourself to stay in honour over the debt. So therefore, you know, a magistrate will probably kick it out. Chances are.
Don't say you refuse to pay. In fact, say completely the opposite. Say, I am not refusing to pay, but I can only afford 50 pence a week.
And when you go to the bank to set up the standing order, you pay the first payment and ask the bank for confirmation that you've set the standing order up and the receipt for the payment. And if a bailiff comes banging on your door, you just flash that under the nose and say, fuck off, I've paid. Nothing to do with you. You can't charge me anything. There is an arrangement standing. You know, and they can't do anything. They can't lay charges on you. They can't even cross your threshold. But it's got to be a standing order. Please remember that. Standing order, not a direct debit.
We should caveat this by saying, you know, one, this is not legal advice, folks, and two, that is how it is at the moment. A lot of this is a very rapidly shifting ice shelf as they're bringing in all this Lisbon Treaty and everything else. A lot of those kind of availabilities to us may rapidly disappear.
And don't, as much as we love what the Freeman route has brought us in terms of education and what have you, if you start going, try and even attempt the Freeman route, they've already wised up to that one straight away. You'll just be not listened to, and they'll make a judgment as though you weren't there anyway. So you've got to start playing them at their own game, and that is their game. If you can beat them with a standing order and get them off your back, and all the threats of the bailiffs have gone away, you've done them out of thousands between them. I've mentioned this basically because that's what I've discovered this week while I've been trying out this couple out, and it's a fantastic piece of information. I thought it was, because a lot of people, if they're not used to dealing with authoritative figures on the phone, and you haven't got the confidence or the words in your head, you know, it does help to know that there is something that you can do that they can't do bugger all about at the moment, and that's the one, the standing order. Because they'll want to take more off you than you can afford 9 times out of 10. And whilst there's some people out there who are working don't have these worries, then, you know, fair enough to you. But like, there's a lot of people out there who worry about this 24/7, and it makes them ill.
And part of that worry is generated by those fucking cunts on the other end of the phone, because they are such order takers. They will repeat the script they've been told to repeat, and they will push you for as much as they can get. They will ask you for 200 quid when you can't even afford a tenner, because they don't give a shit. You're just some voice at the end of a phone to them. They don't care. All they're bothered about is get as much money back for the company as you possibly can. That's how you earn your wage packet. Thank you very much, sir. Yes, please give me a job. Please give me a job. Please give me a job. They don't give a shit.
Whilst they're asserting their bully tactics on your mind over the phone, they also know this little trick about the standing order, and they know they've got no power over it. So they know about it, but they're not going to give it you as a bolt-hole. The only information you're going to get is how they can threaten you with, oh, well, we'll take you to court, which means that for doing that, there's a £70 standing fee for us to do the paperwork, which means you're going to have to pay court costs. And if the bailiffs get involved, it'll be £70 when the man comes to the door, plus £234 bailiff charges at the door. And all of a sudden, your debt rises from nothing to something that's got about £1,000 attached to it. Anything up to £1,000 if you don't know what to say at the doorstep. Yeah. And that's not your fault, because no one's educated. No one's ever bothered to tell you about how to defend yourself against the system. All they've ever told you to do is obey the system. So, and
in other slightly different social situations and cultures, and it's still ongoing, but it's more hidden, this is their paper decorated version of what is more commonly known as the numbers racket.
Yeah.
It is a threat with menaces for you to hand over money. That's it. It's as simple as that. It's a numbers racket. They're playing mafioso games, but using a piece of paper that, just like the magic set of keys for a little baby. When you jingle the keys, they're like, keys, keys, keys. When they wave those bits of paper in front of most of us, we all go, oh, oh, paper, obey, obey the paper. Yeah, people got to get over that. So, sorry, I'm being silly, but
you know, I would really like to get into a situation where I have to negotiate with one of them, but I won't be in that situation. But I'd like to be in a situation where I have to negotiate with one of these council people who are getting dominant and say, whoa, 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 hang on a minute. Right now, we're speaking human being to human being over the telephone, yet all I can hear from you is what is virtually a piece of paper, because that's all your company is, that's all your corporation is, a piece of paper and a thought in someone's mind. But you are giving me the impression that you have got all the power in the world, when in actual fact, in law, as you stand in your world, all you are is an entity, a fictitious entity, and all of a sudden you're trying to tell something that is what to do, when basically you're coming from the stance from something that isn't.
Yeah.
You're just a mere thought, a few words on a piece of paper, and in actual fact, that to me is and isn't. I am and am. I am possible.
I wouldn't
you are a thought.
I wouldn't necessarily recommend this for people to try. It depends on, I think, who you get on the end of the phone. They might get what you're saying and see for the whatever. But to me, if somebody's saying that kind of stuff to me, it's like, what you're telling me here, mate, is you're a sorcerer and you're hearing voices of the dead and you're representing the information from that voice of the dead to me. So you're hearing voices in your head when you hold this bit of paper up, and then you're telling me, oh, bit of paper says, ooh, big juju coming, if you know, give me money. Are you insane? That's how it comes across to me. It's like, on one hand, you tell me people who sit in a darkened room and use a bowl of water and attempt to talk to the ether through the medium of the water, you call them insane. But you're standing there with a bit of paper and you're telling me that you can hear a voice of the dead via the bit of paper, and the voice of the dead is telling you to tell me to give you money.
And you're obeying it.
Yeah.
You're obeying it. You're doing everything it says, when basically all it is a non-existent piece of something that went off into the ethos, time passed, and you are enforcing all that represents upon me, and I am an actual thing. What gives you the authority and what gives you the power from that stance to even contemplate the thought that you can order me around, and if I did consent to your council tax, if I consented to pay your council tax, that is all I consented to. I didn't consent for you as a non-existent entity, a piece of paper, to dominate me in every way you can and use threats of this, that, and the other. So where are you coming from? Are you a human being on the other end of the phone? Because if I lived next door to you and handed you a bag of tomatoes over the fence that I'd grown, would you use the same tactics then? No, you'd say thank you like a human being, and probably if you'd grown one or two many cucumbers, you'd pass me a bag of bloody cucumbers. You know, we'd interact like ordinary people, but just because you've walked inside that building and you've opened your desk and switched your phone on ready for action, you're going to be a complete and utter arsehole.
A golem.
Just a rant. It was just...
Yeah, it is, mate. It is. That's why, again, it's one of those things that makes me stop and rant every time, because it boggles the mind that people just do this kind of shit. So, where is your brain? Do you have a brain?
Oh yeah, you know, what are you doing? What are you representing? You know, even to a senior councillor, do you actually realise what kind of a position you've got and what kind of responsibility you've got? All you're doing is abusing what you imagine is your authority. And because some fat person in Parliament who eats lots of jammy dodgers says there's a localism bill for you to be able to do that, doesn't mean to say that that is the reality, does it? Because, you know, at the end of the day, the leader of Nottingham City Council had a bunch of people shouting outside his house, which brought him back into the real world. He wasn't the senior councillor while he was in his house.
Yeah.
You know, you're just an ordinary human being, and you're taken out of your position of power, and you become an ordinary human being. So, what the fuck are you? You walk through a wall and you become something else, which is not you, because we know it's not you, because we live next door and you've had some tomatoes off us. So what the fuck are you?
Yeah, Head Wars has put up a good point on here, saying the legal system is bullshit. The judge is paid by the Crown, the lawyers are paid by the Crown, and they're all part of the Bar Association, which is a conflict of fucking interest. And true rights and freedoms. Thank you, Hell Wars. That sums it up nicely. Thank you. Alright. It's all magic spells, as Dark Wonders is saying. No sorcerers and manipulations. Yeah.
Well, that's why I specifically said sorcerer.
Oh, necromancers in law, Dark Wonders has put, and cleric is the clerk.
Yeah.
Yeah, cleric is a clerk of the ecclesiastical bent. So, you know, when they say cleric, they basically mean just a clerk of the church dogma.
And there's a lot of them that's bent.
Yeah.
And then Doctor Death comes out of his chambers to hand down the sentence to him. Wearing his black dress.
Looking at the time, we've gone over 2 hours.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to wrap it up, it would be a good sort of opportunity to do it there if you want to. I don't know what the other guys are doing. Dean's been very quiet for ages, but I know he's sat there listening.
Yeah. I just want to say, as I say, I've been talking names, but there's another couple of names on there. I say we had Dark Wonders, some Tathro, sorry if I butchered the name, and the Helpful Troll. Again, thank you for joining us, and thank you for commenting and joining in the chat. Everyone's been really good tonight. Thanks to our guests of Kendo and Kiki, Dean and Kip, still there. You guys got anything else you want to say? I don't. Over to you.
I want to slightly pinch a phrase which I think I'm going to pinch it. I think Peter of Lowlands posted it the other day, but it sort of spurred off the conversation we had last week about solutions. Choice is a solution. Well, really, I suppose you should say choice is the solution.
Yeah.
I'd just like to add that if you can, get to have a look at that video from Rob Freeman, People's Mandate. You have a think about it. I mean, it might not be the solution, but it certainly makes you think in a slightly different way to you would be thinking before you know what I mean. You'll be thinking different after you've watched the video, surely.
Yeah.
So typing away rapidly.
Yeah, so I was just replying back to I'm just replying back to the chat. So I'll just say thanks for joining us, everyone here tonight. For people that are apologising for being late, don't worry about it. I'm usually always late, so don't worry about it.
This is of course all relying on whether Kip is still awake to be able to click the button to actually stop the broadcast.
Yeah, well, I think Dean's a helping hand.
I saw movement.
James rattling.
Alright, people. I hope you enjoyed what there was. I hope we rescued the ship anyway. We stopped it from floundering on the rocks, I hope.
Yeah.
Thanks. I can do it.
Hello.
We'll say thanks. So if you can, guys, figure the button to take us take us out and say good night. And everyone have a fantastic day tomorrow. If you're going to meet up with Kip and Dean at Glasgow Cathedral at 12 o'clock, I hope you all have a fantastic day. And no doubt we'll see you soon.
12 bells, Glasgow Cathedral.
Yeah.
You know, man, mute that up, man. See if you mute it up. It's fucking. Hold on. Aye. Aye.
Still getting a bit of feedback here.
Mic check.
Hello.
Right, sorry. Oh, do you know? Aye, tomorrow, like, I just meet up at Glasgow Cathedral.
Right.
The courtyard at 12 bells. Sounds good. So, aye. Cookie's going to make it, aren't you?
We're going to fly there on my broomstick.
Yeah, fly up broomstick. The wizards. Orange the wizard.
The Wizards have had too much whiz tonight. Not the whiz. Dad's got to talk about that. For Christ's sake, dropped a bollock again. Not that kind of whiz, folks, but whiskey.
Hey. Yeah, turn your phone on, Kit.
No, we're heading for the rocks again.
Turn your phone on.
Tonight.
My sound's
In
on.
the house.
Say good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, John boys.
Good night.
I'm lost.
Third time lucky.
I know that there's.
Somebody make a balloon animal quick.
And I think Kip needs rescuing, Dean.
Send in the clones. Send in the clones.
Jesus.